Patience has been the name of the game more so than ever as we're having these choppy New York Opens for the first hour or two, and then the trend sets in. Now, of course, there's obviously these trending days that we want to maximize on, but how do we handle days like this when it's very choppy and whipsawy, tough to make money in? Looking at Friday's price action here, you can see the New York VWAP is just up and down and flat. I made a video about that recently of what is the VWAP telling you. Well, at this point, it's a flat horizontal VWAP. No buyers in control, no sellers in control. It's flat. I want to have the direction of that sloping VWAP be in my favor. So if I'm looking for shorts, I want it to be falling. I want it to be rising if I'm looking for longs. Let's go back here to the open where sellers popped us out of the open range, which is good. But we get back into it again. And then we try to get out of it again, but we hold that previous day's New York VWAP as support. So you could argue maybe there's a short in here as these lower highs on top to sell it here. But we just bounce off that support view up underneath us of previous days New York. So that's not really bearish sentiment, as well as the 15 minutes bullish, and it has been all week. So the upside probably has more trend to it than the downside, but it's not really giving me buying structure either as it's falling on top. And we just made technically a new low a day, although it is support off of a VWAP. So it's not really great buying conditions or selling conditions because we're in this range. If we're in this opening range, the first 15 minutes of the day, it's literally the same price we opened up at, but an hour and a half later. Clearly, there's no trend in the market, or else we would have been gone by these prices, new highs or new lows. But since it's not trending, this is where we get chopped up. This is where we chase moves that don't follow through, and we lose a bunch of money, right? Because even if you buy it here, you buy it at the top, instant drawdown. All right, well, let me sell it because there's these lower highs on top. You sell it at the bottom, instant drawdown. There's no follow through. There's no trend. Just leave this price action alone. Wait for new information to convince you what your bias should be and what the trend is actually showing us today, that at this time it's 12 o'clock and we still haven't left this range. I'm not trading it then. It may call for me some days to trade at 11 o'clock because we're outside the range. Okay, cool, I'll capitalize on that. Some days you may have to wait till 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. We can't predict what it's going to do each day. We just have to wait and react. So now let's wait for new information to the upside or the downside. Well, we finally got a new high a day. Okay, buyers were able to take control. Could I have bought it here and timed that perfectly? Just like if you bought it here, you get a little bit of rise, but you don't get any rise there. It's just tough to time the longs because we're in this range with the flat VWAP. So I don't care about missing this move higher. Could I have longed it off that New York VWAP in line with my 15-minute trend and made money? Sure. But the easier trade is just going to come from waiting for now that new high to set in the clear bias that I want to be looking for long. So you let it make a new high a day. It retests off of our key level of opening range high here. There's a long opportunity there if you want to quickly scalp that off the opening range high, initial balance high key level. You can put on a high a day view up. That one runs higher for you. But if you're chopping yourself up in this choppy price action, now that it's finally broken out and shown some trend, you're out of ammo. You're out of risk. You don't have any more trades to put on today because you hit max daily loss trying to force something that's just not clear. It's not a you problem that your skill isn't good enough to try to make money in this price action. It's just tough that we don't need to figure out a way to necessarily make money in this price action of how can I know to buy it here and how can I know to buy it there. We could always work towards that, but I'd rather just say I'm not trading this price action well. I don't trade it well, so I'm just going to leave it alone and wait for the structure that I know I can trade. That's the better and safer answer, especially in the short term if you're just starting out, rather than trying to trade everything. Just stick with what's working. I don't trade this very well. I'm going to wait for a new high because I'm a trend trader and I need to see new trend come in so I could capitalize on it. So you let it rip higher. Now it looks pretty bullish, does it not? When back here we were maybe arguing, I could see some shorts, I could see some longs. I'm not really sure which one's going to work out. Well, if you're confused, you don't need to know or need to even act on it. Wait for it to become super clear that by this time you know you're looking for longs up here. Now you can just look for where do I want to long it? Where do I normally buy it? I buy off of key levels or a key VWAP, a break of high a day, and the trending is just so much simpler rather than trying to figure out what's going to happen during this choppy mess. So let's fast forward here a little bit more. It comes down to our New York VWAP. I'm bullish on the day because we broke out of this open range high, finally starting to show some trend. It's clearly making higher lows since we bounced off that previous day's New York VWAP at 1030. This is my next key level of the New York VWAP. I could even throw on a high a day VWAP and maybe buy it there when buyers step back in. Or I know I want to be a buyer today because of this clear trend. It's off my key VWAP. If I could see to start this to turn, I could want to be a buyer here. Well, buyers are defending that New York VWAP. The trend is telling me to long it here off the New York VWAP and the open range high. Let me throw in a long because the trend is now set in. I don't need to decide if we're going to be bullish or bearish. I know I'm sticking to one side. And then you let it play out and you find the easier win. It's just so much more simpler than trying to short it back here or long it back here, but not seeing follow through in either direction, right? You could have longed it or short it and had to sit in that for like 30 minutes or so. Or you could wait for the trend to become obvious, trade it off a key level with the direction of that sentiment, and be pure profit in your trade and out in 20 minutes. That's the trading I prefer to do. And this is the trade that you should also want to probably be in because it's just less stressful, it's clearer to read, it's easier to take mentally because you're confident in it, and you're seeing the follow through, so you're just going to have better odds. Let's look at some markups here from the past few weeks as well. Same idea. This is on April 15th. A choppy New York Open where it's just moving sideways. It doesn't break out until here for a new low a day at 12:45, 1 o'clock. You could trade the short off opening range high there or the short off opening range low there as well on a break of low a day view up because now the trend is showing that it's setting in a little bit. So I could try to capitalize on that. There's no trend for me to try to capitalize in here. I don't need to time it perfectly that I avoid all of these shorts. I avoid all of this, but I knew to sell it right then and there. You're going to have a tough time timing that one. That I'd rather just see that come in, confirm my short bias, and then I'll catch the next leg. I'll catch that move. No problem there. Let's go the next day here as well. Choppy open, couldn't get outside for a new opening range high, couldn't make a new high a day. Well, let it break for a new low. Tell you that the trend is wanting to be bearish. Now it retests underneath the key levels again. You trade it back short again. Following the structure, following the clearer trend, still off your key levels, the trading becomes a lot more simple rather than trying to chase it at the top here, but then you also short it there. Maybe you shorted it back here. Maybe you longed it back there. Nothing is following through. We're in this range. The opening range, we need to be out of it to have strong trend to capitalize on that direction. So if you just show patience, again, we don't need to predict that now is the time it's going to finally pop. If you try to do that all day, every day, you're going to be wrong a lot and not be on time a lot. So just let it break out, and there's no harm in just waiting for the next move. It happens again here. Choppy open. Is this going to run higher for a new high? Is this going to finally break lower for a new low? Well, it wasn't ready until here. So let it break out, let it retest your key level, and then trade the trend that is now starting to set in. There's no trend to capitalize on back here, and there's not enough gas to even move it. I don't want to be in it. Another one here. It's chopping. It definitely does look bearish for underneath view up, so you can try to short these, right? There is money to be made in that move lower and in this move lower. But if you're wanting the safer play or the more consistent play, let it make a new low outside the range, trade the retest of that range, and break of lower day view up to continue the trend. That's going to be a lot more simpler. You're going to find a lot more wins that way, but more importantly, you're going to avoid a lot more losers that way, which in turn is going to help your P&L grow even quicker. And if you need to watch me trade on ASFX TV, you could use code Evan and get 50% off. I take all these trades live on stream, as well as teach you more of my strategy here in Futures 2.0. So if you need a strategy and you need help with that discipline to wait, you'll see me be patient on stream and wait for the moment to be right. We streamed on this Friday. It was very choppy. There was nothing really clean to take while we were on stream. And I didn't take this trade later on because it's Friday at 2 o'clock. I'm off the desk by then. But more importantly, just to forget the day and the time that it is. Just structurally and technically, these are the rules that you should be applying to yourself of leave this chop alone. Let it break for a new high. The trend becomes clear. Now my mind is clear. Now I could probably execute a trade pretty easily. So hopefully you guys found value in that. Again, if you need help with your strategy or your discipline or your patience, always feel free to reach out. Tune into the streams. And again, if you need a top 1 account, they're also running 50% off still. So if you need an account, check that out with code Evan. But I appreciate you guys always tuning in. Hopefully we could get out of these ranges pretty quickly. We don't need to wait until 12:45 to get these breaks out, and then we could capitalize on the trend. Hopefully, like our normal days, like the day prior, we get outside the range rather quickly, and then it becomes easy to capitalize on trend because we're outside our range and making trending price action. So hopefully we can get these quicker breaks, but some days we will not, and we just have to stay patient for it. So follow your rules, be patient, be disciplined, all those good things. I'll see you guys on the charts tomorrow morning.